Como se preparam as empresas para a tecnologia é uma das principais questões que estão aqui a ser abordadas no Congresso 20 anos Empresas Familiares 4.0, que está a decorrer aqui na nova SBE, no campus de Carcavelos. Joachim Schwass é professor emérito do Instituto IMD na Suíça, praticamente nasceu numa empresa familiar e foi também ele que lançou o tema das empresas familiares como objeto de investigação, para além de lecionar a cadeira do Instituto IMD na Suíça. Vamos então agora falar um pouco com ele. Esta conversa vai decorrer em inglês e eu vou naturalmente resumindo em português. Joachim Schwass, you've spent your whole life in a family business. You were born in a family business, so you can tell us why are there some family business that are successful for a long period of time and some other don't?
Well, in my research, I have found that the vast majority of family-owned businesses have a difficulty in finding the right way for the future. Many of them fail at the beginning of the second generation, and then also when they transition to the third generation. I've always been concerned with trying to find out why is it that so many fail, and why is it that only a small number can be very successful and extraordinarily successful even over many, many generations. So my research has focused on family businesses around the world. I did not just look at one particular country, but I had the great fortune to be able, within the framework of IMD, to study family businesses from basically around the world. And I've seen family businesses from China, United States, Brazil, Europe, etc. And I believe that they share many of the same problems, but they handle them differently according to their cultures. Probably the single biggest problem of failure in family business is the family itself, and that's somehow a little bit of a sad story in a way, because it's thanks to a family or an entrepreneur that the business gets started, but then after 1, 2, 3, 4 or later generations, the businesses fail because the families have not been able to continue to add the right value to the business.
And they also don't prepare the succession.
And they don't prepare succession, which is another one of the big problems. If we want to talk more about the succession side, through our research we have identified 3 stages in the life of a family business, which are very, very distinct. The first stage is the founder generation, or the controlling owner stage, which is based on the personality of one individual. One individual controls, I call it the I culture, and one individual has the power. Once this individual has children, we call it the sibling stage. That's the brothers and the sisters who take over in the next generation, and that's the stage of the us culture, where it's about sharing power. The problem is that you're moving from one structure, from one culture, which is very much I and control oriented, to a culture of us where we're sharing power. And typically the ones who are in the I culture are not very good at preparing the next generation for this sharing, because the only thing they know is how do I control this business in my hands. Whereas in the next generation can only be, as siblings sharing power, can only be successful if they sit around a table and they take time to discuss and to find compromises. And that's a fundamentally very different modus operandi of the first generation. So I believe that's a big explanation of why there are lots of failures in the second generation.
Just give me a minute to translate. Joachim Schwass is explaining, está aliás então a dizer que uma das grandes questões, um dos grandes desafios é a transição entre a primeira e a segunda geração numa empresa familiar. Muitas das vezes o que acontece é que a primeira geração está focada e centrada numa única pessoa que detém todo o controlo e muitas das vezes a sucessão é feita para os filhos, onde há um controlo partilhado e nem sempre essa sucessão é preparada convenientemente e por isso mesmo muitas das empresas familiares falham neste ponto. Joachim Schwass, you were saying that you were explaining why is it difficult to the business, to the family business to survive, and you've also said in your presentation that there are 5 key drivers to sustainable family wealth. What are those drivers?
Well, if I'd like to concentrate the way to think about being effective in managing a family business, I think probably it starts first with establishing the right culture as the next generation comes in, and that is very simply the fact that the logic dictates that first we need to earn money and then we can spend it. Unfortunately, in today's environment, and the academic world is at fault there as well, is that money is kind of neutralized. Money is plentiful available, and in essence we are being taught to leverage financial capacities to a maximum, which goes against the long-term thinking of family businesses, where it's about careful capital investment, whereas the young generation comes and they say, why don't we take on more debt, etc. So I think that's probably one of the first things I would say.
It's a too risky way of thinking.
Too risky way of thinking, over-leveraging, taking on too much debt and thinking, well, it can be paid off in future. And sometimes it can, but in most cases, history teaches us that's not the case.
Thank you so much for your time. Joachim Schwass aqui a dizer que uma das principais questões nas empresas familiares de hoje em dia é que muitas das vezes as gerações mais jovens acreditam que é necessário mais investimento, maior investimento, e muitas das vezes essa necessidade e essa crença no maior investimento leva também a um maior endividamento, o que naturalmente torna estes negócios mais arriscados. Vamos então continuar aqui a acompanhar este Congresso 20 anos Empresas Familiares 4.0 e vamos também ter a oportunidade de conhecer alguns exemplos de empresas portuguesas que se tornaram conhecidas internacionalmente. Até já!